Welcome back to another video here with Kyle Chris. Today we're going to be starting our road to the Nationals season for Masters, as well as Fusion World. This video will not be going over anything in Fusion World, of course. This is just going to be Masters, and I'm going to kind of do this in sort of pieces, just because one video would be really long. So I'm going to break this up into quite a bit of pieces over the next like month and a half or so until the national season starts. Now, obviously, for North America, we don't know the exact date. Currently, we know that it's going to be in January, but we don't actually have a date yet, which is really stupid. But nevertheless, I felt like this was a good video to start with sort of a discussion video regarding the ban list or lack thereof, and how the community seems to be taking it. And for those who are maybe not aware of what was supposed to happen in a lot of people's eyes, a lot of people were looking for a ban to a particular deck known as Red Kidku, which is what the most of this video is going to be talking about. Now that we know that it's not going to be touched at all, at least I'm not banking on an emergency ban list or anything, because we don't have any events really until Nationals. It's probably what we're going to have, right? We're going to have what the new set is, the anniversary box support, and Red Kidku, and that's basically going to be the format, right? So this video, we're going to kind of talk about the Red Kidku ban, and if it was, or I guess the no banning of this leader, and if that is the correct decision made by Bandai. I'm sure some people won't like what I'm going to say, but that's okay. And then we'll kind of go over some ideas of what you should be looking into playing against Kidku, and what you might be able to do to sort of defend yourself against Kidku. If this video does get, we'll say 100 likes, I will do a more deep dive breakdown of Kidku, just for the players who might be struggling against the deck, or they really don't know how to go about beating the deck. I can make a video for that. So you guys let me know basically by sharing the video, and getting that the likes up to at least 100, and then I can do that before National. So we will start with the kind of the discussion of the leader, and Kidku itself has been, it's sort of a topic now since its release. Honestly, it's done a very good job in the format, winning, I don't want to say most of the events, but it's definitely won a handful of them. I mean, most, it definitely would be more than 50% of the events that have taken place, which honestly is not that dominating. I mean, like that's good, but when you compare it to other formats that we've had going to Nationals, this is probably the most wide open format we've had. So just to give some people a little backstory, if they're not, they weren't playing the game at the time, or maybe they just forget. 2 formats ago, or I guess 2 national formats ago, we have had close to 4 decks that have been unequivocally better than Kidku, all of which were not banned for Nationals, right? So 2 years ago, we had the double-headed dragon, basically, that was Red Shadow Dragons and Goku and Vegeta GT, which basically ran most of the format for that year. Once they came out, those 2 decks were dominating. By dominating, I mean you saw, if you had a room full of 100 people, probably more than 90 of them were playing one of these 2 decks. And that's proven. You can go look at data that you can go look at if you really care about that. So you can actually have a distinctive number. But those 2 decks basically ran most of the format 2 years ago. And going into Nats, it's basically what you had to tech against, right? You're like, I'm going to play I'm either going to play GT, or I'm going to play against Shadow Dragons. It's one of the 2. And it's basically what you did. Now, both of those decks did take a small nerf, with 1 card from each other archetypes being banned. But it didn't really stop the decks too much. I mean, both decks still ended up topping, with Shadow Dragons getting 3rd. And outside of that, neither one of those decks actually won the event. We had Crimson, which ended up winning the event, and Crimson ended up winning, I think, countless others, if not almost every other national tournament after us, because I think we were first. And Crimson basically ran the national format. It kind of just ran the table, right? Then going into Worlds, everyone said, okay, well, Crimson needs to be banned. Crimson needs to be banned. It's too strong. It does this. It does this. And then Crimson didn't end up winning Worlds, right? Crimson ended up losing. I think Crimson got top 4, but it lost to Gamma and then Trunks Cheetah, which ended up being the victor, right? And then you go to last year, where we had distinctively still one of the strongest decks in the game right now, which is Yellow U7. This deck, it just kind of does everything, and it having a built-in burn mechanic too, which is nuts, right? That deck received no nerfs before Nationals, and that deck still ended up, it didn't win NA Nationals. Cooler ended up winning. I believe it won EU Nationals on a technicality because the Jiren player, I guess, cheated. The Jiren player probably would have still won regardless, but so he didn't end up actually winning the event, And I think it did win Oceania, maybe one other. I think Jiren maybe won Latin America, or a green deck won. I can't remember. Oh, it was Gohan, I think Gohan ended up. You have that, and then U7 did make it to grand finals of Worlds, and then it ended up losing to Android 21. So I'm saying all of this to say those decks were stronger than Kidku, even in their nerfed form. Like GT Dragons were both stronger than Kidku while they were nerfed, right? U7 at full power, still stronger than Kidku. So I don't really think, I think kind of jumping the gun here, people saying that the deck needed to be banned. Of course, it hits unisons. Is that kind of annoying? Sure. But guess what? Yes, they're supporting decks that are playing unisons. It's not just a necessarily, we need to ban or hurt the deck that's kind of gatekeeping, quote unquote, all of that new product. Because, it's the competitive part of the game. We're not just going to power creep something you can say they can power creep something just to sell more product, but we all kind of know where the game state is at the moment, and a lot of people who are still playing are the hardcore players. So take that at what you will. But for it to be banned, I think people are a little crazy. There are a lot of decks that play very well in the Kidku, and that's what you're now going to have to focus on for the national season. Now, honestly, you have two kind of different ways you can go about this. You can either play Kidku, right, or you can play a deck that has a good matchup into Kidku, and you do have quite a bit of them that we're going to go over in this video. Before we get into that part, I do want to talk about a little bit of kind of the strategy, just a quick sort of strategy on how to go against Kidku. For those, apparently, there's a lot of you who don't understand, I guess, how to beat Kidku, or just maybe you guys just like complaining. I'm not really sure which one it is. But you kind of have three things you have to worry about in the deck, and or three different ways you can kind of go about beating the deck. And you kind of need to focus on one of these, I think, when you pick your deck for Nats, so that way you feel comfortable, really focusing or being consistent on this one point. So one thing is you have the water extra card, which forces them to take 2 life, and if you aggress them down to 5 or 4 life, because early they're not going to have a lot of defense on that turn 2, right? So especially if you go first, you can take them down to 5 or 4, and now they're going down to 2 or 3 respectfully when they use the water technique, right? Yes, they can heal themselves back, but they're already putting themselves in such a bind. A lot of the times they're not going to want to do that. So they might end up playing the other extra card, which just allows them to use explosive dance, but you kind of save yourself from having to worry about using the water effect, right? So if you're gonna focus on that, maybe you pick a deck that's very aggressive, something that you can use to deliberately, push them down on turn 2. There's quite a few decks right now that can do that. So you kind of just pick your poison, figure out which one you're gonna want to use. The other strategy is disrupting of the skillless cards. So most of these decks are playing 3-drop skillless cards. Some of them are playing 5. But if you can remove these, so whether it's by bottom decking them, putting them into your opponent's Z energy, or warping them, that's going to be your best. Warping by far is going to be the best, but those 3 different avenues of removal are going to allow you to succeed very well in the Kidku, because after that turn 4, I think it's turn 4 when they can use their secret rare. For whatever reason, I'm kind of blanking on the Vegito play. I think it's turn 4. Their kill potential falls down dramatically, right? And as you're removing these skillless cards, now they don't have as much pressure because their 5 cost is not going to be able to deal as much. And now they're stuck playing out 20Ks for free, which is fine. I would rather see a 20K than a 30K. And they don't get the minusing effect when they play the TNs from their Z energy. So that's the second way. The third way is kind of eliminating their best defensive tool, which is Explosive Dance. So whether you are playing a deck that has the ability of swinging through Explosive Dance, which there are quite a few that can, or you can stop them from using Explosive Dance either by tapping them out, taxing them for using extra cards or counterattacks, or just stopping them from being able to activate extra cards altogether. They're not going to be able to use, they're going to really have to rely on like Bulma and Chaozu. And of course you have Koitsukai, which is just the easiest side deck card in the entire game against them. You throw 3 of those in any deck, and anytime you play against Kidku, you just activate Koitsukai, start swinging. So now they're testing the ops, they're Chaozus, they're Bulma Bunny Girls, they're all incredibly vulnerable to this, and they're just gonna eat through their hand, and then you're just gonna be able to kill them. So those just some easy like tips to go over how to beat the deck. But again, what we said, we can do a full video on how to beat Kidku if you feel that is something you guys want to see. Like I said, again, just get this video to 100 likes and we'll discuss that, right? So from there we'll pivot a little bit, and now since we know that Kidku is going to be quote-unquote the boogeyman for nationals, you're going to want to pick your deck wisely, right? So in this video, we're going to go over decks that are currently available and just some of the best ones that are on top of my head that you can run. Of course, everyone, you might have a particular other deck. I'm not going to go over Anniversary, and I'm not going to go over the new set in this video. Those are going to be for later videos. So for red, I think probably obviously the best one outside of playing the Kidku Mirror, which if you want to do that by all means, would be Future Gohan. Future Gohan is, I want to say it's still probably the most toolboxy. I think Pan is probably right there, but I like the idea with Future Gohan of being able to use the cards underneath the field, and you can kind of, you're kind of doing the same thing that Kidku is, but maybe not as good in some senses. But you also have a lot of other generic stuff that you can play, where you're not just filling the deck with Chaozus and Bulma Bunny Girls and skillless cards, right? You have some other cards you can actually play. Also, you have very powerful boss monsters, right? And you also have access to Explosive Dance, and Explosive Dance actually sucks for Kidku because their 30Ks are really hard to swing with because they don't have a lot of 30Ks, and they don't really build Z energy a lot until you start using your super combos, and those are not great for taxing for Explosive Dance, right? So I think Future Gohan will probably be the best, at least from the previous set, probably the best red deck to pilot because of just the genericness of the deck. And Explosive Dances should be a little bit easier to get now because of the reprint and the Anniversary, so that should make it a little bit easier for players. Next, we're going to go over green, and my best choice for green would probably be Cell Reboot. Although Namek Goku is pretty close, I think Cell would probably still be the best one from previous sets to battle in the Kidku meta. On the front side, you can kill anything 3 costs or less, which is really good. You can kind of stop them from utilizing their Z energy early, which means that they can't play waters. You also have the ability of killing anything on the front side, on your Awakened side, and then also getting crit, and then being able to swing double strike crit on your opponent is devastating. Not to mention you have access to Bardock Unison, so for them to build Z energy early to play out waters or to play out the other Z extra is really difficult. You basically can kill everything, and then being able to hide behind Dorman and stuff, it's pretty devastating. Cell definitely would be my choice. Of course, I think there are some better better green deck options that we'll talk about in a later video, but at least to battle against Kidku, Cell's probably going to be the best. Next, we're going to go over blue, and my choice would be Tapion. There are, blue's kind of in a bad spot, I think, until this last set that's going to be coming out. Blue's just really weak. Tapion seems to be the best one generically. Builds up the biggest hand, has tons of defensive tools and offensive tools. Being able to remove stuff is, it's definitely has about everything you can from a blue deck. It's not as defensive as decks like, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku deck or Soul Striker, but I don't think either one of those decks are superior to Tapion in any way. I think those both kind of lack the necessary ability to to build a hand while also playing defense, you kind of just lose your hand size, and then Soul Striker really can't awaken early anymore anyways. So going down the 4 when they're just going to pressure you and you're not going to have enough energy to really make it matter, I think is just not very good. I will say Blue Boo would probably be my second choice, and may actually be the better choice if you're strongly feeling like you're going to see almost nothing but Kidku, which I know won't be the case because you're going to have people who are going to be countering, Kidku. And I don't know how Boo does into other decks. I definitely think Boo kind of struggles into some of the other colors, but Boo can devastate Kidku. You do so much. So it's definitely something I would consider is maybe trying out Blue Boo and seeing if you like the concept of the deck. But I think Tapion is just probably going to be the easier choice, and that's what we're really looking for. You don't want to make things super complicated for yourself. Sometimes it's just the easier deck. The autopilot, some people would say, is definitely going to be the better option. Next is Yellow, and Yellow, there's really only 2 targets. You're either going with Universe 7 Goku, or you're going to go with Nova. Both play very similar styles and kind of playing like mid-range to control styles, but also being able to turn on the aggression whenever you want to. U7 probably doesn't do that as much because it has to build up to that point a little bit, but Shadow Dragons in Nova have that ability to. You can play 30k bodies all day, and you also have the ability of using the Dragon Thunder extra card, which allows you to negate the effects of the Water extra card, meaning they can't use it to gain back life. So you can basically tap them out and then swing like a Triple Striker or something, or your secret rare, the Gogeta, and then it makes it really difficult for them to be able to kill you, because now they don't have the ability to Explosive Dance, or they can't use their extra card to gain life back because you negated its skills. So I would say U7 is probably the easier deck to play out of the 2, because it doesn't revolve around playing the Unison, and Nova does, and you kind of need the Unison in play. So that's one of the problems, I would say, with the deck, I guess, if you would consider that a problem. And then Black, there really is, right now, I think there's only one option of playing the best into Kidku, which would be Vegito. God Trunks, I don't think as good going into Kidku. It's probably still okay, but I like the Vegito deck into Kidku just more. I think it builds more Z energy. The comboing effect is super clutch on the leader, and I think that's what will end up making it just kind of a better deck. The Goku Xeno deck is another one. It's really high rolly, and if I'm taking a deck into like the biggest event of the year, I'm not going to rely on RNG as much for my deck to do well. So I would say Goku Xeno is probably not the best option. But if you want to test your luck with it, and it's there for some people, I'm sure. So, but Vegito, it's been the only Black deck that's actually won an event since I think Mechagabora maybe won an event, but prior to that, I think it was like Gogeta X Dark Broly time, which was a really long time ago since a Black deck has won a major event. Granted, it only won once, but it's topped almost every event. Vegito has been that deck, and it just has the most removal, right? Like between the counterplay, all the other cards you're playing that are warping stuff, you can basically just remove the skillless whenever you want to, and it becomes a very difficult matchup for them to deal with. And out of those 3 things that I was talking about, with dealing with the like swinging through Explosive Dance, and dealing with the Chaozu and Bulmas, dealing with the extra card, and then dealing with the skillless, you definitely cut out 2 of those 3 very easily with Black, because you're sending everything to the warp, and because you play a lot of 30k bodies. Swinging through Explosive Dance is pretty easy to do. So but that is the video. Again, I just wanted to kind of be an introductory to this series. If there is something particular you guys want to see, we're going to be going over the anniversary box support, how that will affect the meta, as well as the set release as well. I will then go over every color going into Nationals, and then also do a tier list at the end of that, which probably won't be until probably close to the end of October. So enjoy the little time off that we have before we start getting into the national season for some. And if you are already on the grind and practicing, good luck. Hopefully we have a good year. I know we have at least another year of Masters, so kind of enjoying it. And I will be there for this year again. I decided to go to Masters since I had my invite already. instead of going to the Fusion World event in November, just because I'm not a big fan of the meta right now. So maybe that's a next year thing. So well, that will do it for the video today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like and subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.